The following episode of Dad vs. Daughter was made possible by a contribution from R&R Games. Dragon Island from R&R Games is a tile placement game where we are going to be building out an island that is going to be inhabited by dragons. Now, we're going to be humble wizards that we're going to be moving around. We're going to be collecting resources so that we can tame and capture dragons. To get victory points, we're going to be looking for buried treasure by building out the map so that we can get prestige points for that. So let me show you kind of how it's played, but first we're going to have a special introductory on how to play it from Dan from R&R Games. Then Dad will give his final thoughts. We're going to get the thoughts from our game group, as this is our game of the week.
In Dragon Island, you are a wizard, and you're going to be exploring the island, and what you're doing is you're looking for treasures, but you're also trying to navigate the lands that are going to develop and avoid the dragons. So on your turn, you're going to reach into the bag, and you're going to take a random tile out, and the tiles are all dual-sided, okay? So they represent the different commodities that are involved in the game. So what you're going to do is you're going to start out by putting your wizard tile out, and you're going to have another dragon, another terrain tile out, if you will. So when you place your wizard down, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to collect resources, okay? So in this case here, you're going to collect a red resource here, a white one, plus a gold, okay? Because I'm abutting that center tile. The objective is as the game evolves, you will see these tiles start growing, and the island begins to develop in a totally random pattern. So the game will never play the same, because it's how people place these tiles and create the effect of Dragon Island. But you'll notice that the tiles have symbols on them. So for example, you have one of these tiles, which means you're going to take a particular action, and this is the dragon action. So every time that the turn is over, a dragon will appear in that sector of the island. So if you are to move into that island, you must deal with the dragon by either capturing it or putting it in your dragon lair, okay? The object of the game is basically you're looking to collect the most fame and gold, okay? So you collect fame as you're navigating throughout the island. You're going to be collecting fame every time you build a building, a lair, a spire, and you are acquiring gold throughout the game. So there are several actions on the back of the play cards. Some are mandatory for each turn. So for example, you will be placing a tile, you'll be collecting your resources, but at the end of your turn, you're going to draw another tile out of the bag. So the game continues until all the tiles are placed, and then whoever has the most fame at the end of the game and gold wins. So that's a high-level overview of the game of Dragon Island. What makes this game so special is that as you're laying and creating this island, different things will occur, and the game will never play the same, okay? So for a 4-player game, you're actually going to remove 12 of these and set them aside. And if you have a 3-player game, you remove a different number. But once you become experienced in playing Dragon Island, you can leave some of these tiles in the bag to create a little bit longer game. These cards here are actually the dragons, okay? So each player will start with one of each dragon color, okay? As you acquire and control a dragon, that dragon will give you particular powers that you can use. They're all different. All the players have the ability to control any one of these dragons, okay? So if I control a red dragon, you also can control a red dragon and take the benefit of the red dragon. These cards over here are actually treasure maps, okay? So as you acquire a treasure map, if you're able to complete that treasure map, you're going to earn 3 fame and 2 gold, which fame and gold are the winning conditions of this game. So what this is basically telling you is that you have to have a gold piece adjacent to a red forest, a blue lake, and a red mountain. So that's the way you satisfy these contracts here. And again, you will acquire these contracts throughout the game. So you're trying to complete as many of these as you can, And once you complete a contract, you will then put a seal on the tile where you completed it, and then no one else can complete or find a treasure there, because these are literally treasure maps. So if I completed this and I find my treasure there, then no one else is going to be able to discover a treasure on that island tile. So in a nutshell, that's Dragon Island.
Thanks, Dan, for that high-level overview. I want to touch on a few things Dan was talking about. One was he was talking about fame points, and fame points come in two different types. You have your 1s and your 5s. You get plenty of those. Also, I want to talk about the turn order, and there's a number of things that you actually have to do on your turn. Some are conditional and some are optional. And in order to help you remember what those are, on the back of your player screen, it will show you. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to place a tile and produce, and Dan talked about that. Producing is none other than when you place a tile onto the island, you will gain resources for every tile that is adjacent to it. So in this case, when I play the gold tile here, I will collect a green and 2 blue resource cubes. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to look to see if we need to place dragons. Now that's going to be conditional. So we're going to place a dragon on the color of the tile for each empty dragon icon. So what we do is we look at the entire island and we see if we have empty tiles that need dragons. So in this case, we have no dragons on here. So I would put a red dragon here. Oops. I would put a green dragon here and 2 blue dragons there. The next thing I can do is I can move dragons by spending gold. So if I want to move a dragon, I have to pay 1 gold from my supply, and I can move a dragon. I can move any number of dragons for any number of gold that I have, except I cannot move a dragon to the Dragon Spire, or if there is a building that is on one of the tiles, I cannot move a dragon there. So let's just say that this building was on that tile. I could not actually play or move a dragon there, but I could pay 2 gold and say move that blue and that red to that tile. The next thing I have to do is I have to move my wizard. So he cannot stay on the same tile that he's on. So let's say in this little scenario, I have my green wizard here. I can move him to that tile there where those dragons were moved to. So the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to deal with dragons if there is one on my tile. So since I actually moved to a tile, and for this scenario, I'm going to show 1 dragon only, I can actually tame him. And what that means is I will take the blue dragon, or whatever color it is, in this case it's blue. So I have these dragon cards in my hand. I'll take the blue dragon card. I will put it in front of my screen. I will get 3 gold from the bank and place that on the dragon card. And I will take the blue dragon token and put it there as well. Now, whenever I have a pet dragon, I get the benefits. So in the case of the blue, actually in the case of any color, I can move to that color tile. So now I could move my green wizard to any blue tile for 1 movement. If I had the red dragon as my pet, I could move to any red. But each of the different colored dragons have a special ability. So the blues says for a map tile action, draw 3 cards and keep 2. So Dan talked about the map cards. Now let's say that I had 2 dragons on there. I could actually capture them. Now on the player aid, it will show you that to capture a dragon, you need 10 energy if you are on your own color. So for instance, since I am on a green and I am capturing dragons, I have to pay 1 less resource. Also, if I would happen to have the red dragon as a pet, his ability gets me a 1 less resource bonus there, so I'd only have to pay 8. So the active energy that I have to pay is the color of the tile that I'm on, and then any of the colors that are touching it. So to capture these red and blue dragons, I would have to pay active energy that is either a red, green, or blue. And it can be any combination, but I just have to be able to pay the amount required. So like I said, I would only need 9 active energy. I would pay those from my from one I've collected, and then I would capture these. Now, when you capture the dragons, these actually go back to their supply, and then I would actually take captured dragon tokens, in this case the red and the blue, and I would put those in front of my player screen to show that I had captured those. And those are going to be worth various fame points if it's the first one I've captured of that, or if it's second or third, and so on. So now that I've dealt with dragons, I can do the action on the tile, and that is optional. So in this case, where I am at, since I am on my home, I would be able to draw one map card. Again, another optional action is to play a treasure map card. So let's just say, for instance, that I happen to have all of these tiles around the tile that I'm on. I would gain 3 fame and 2 gold, and those would go behind my screen. And then the last action I'm going to perform is, it's a mandatory action, and I will draw another tile from the bag and put it behind my screen so that I have 2 tiles. Now, the black bordered tiles are wild. That means that you can make them any color that you wish. So what we do in order to indicate what color that tile is for the rest of the game, we have these markers, and let's say I wanted to make that a red. I would just place the red marker on there, and then for the rest of the game, that is considered a red tile. So if I have a pet dragon that is red, I could fly to that. And if I am trying to complete a treasure map, this would be red for that purpose as well. So we talked about some of the symbols that are on the tiles. A couple other ones I want to talk about is the telekinesis. So whenever we move and execute that action, we can gain resources in a straight line from that. So being on this blue tile, I would be able to collect 1 blue, 1 green, 2 gold, and another green. The last icon I want to talk about is this storm icon, which looks like a little tornado. Now, when this tile is placed, that actually will happen, or that action actually occurs immediately. Now, what that means is that for all other players who do not have their dragons in a dragon lair, they will lose 1 gold off of each of their dragon cards, plus they will lose a resource of that color. So if I had just played this gold one with the storm, then each other player would lose an additional gold that they might have behind their screen. If I played this green storm tile, then all other players would have to lose 1 of their green resource cubes if they had any. So that is Dragon Island. Let's now get to what I think and what my gaming group thinks. My group was kind of split on this. One player, after several plays, decided he really didn't care for it too much. He thought that it was too limiting in the number of actions that you actually could do. He thought everything else was fine, but for that reason, he said that he would probably rather play something else. A couple of other players that had played it, they liked it. I don't know if it's because one of them had won the game before, but he enjoyed the gameplay on it. Me personally, I enjoy it. The fact that there are not that many actions doesn't detract the game, or it's not a detractor for me. I like the fact that it's more simplistic, because then you don't really have to worry about too much of what you want to do. I find that the reference on the back of the player shields is really helpful in remembering exactly what you need to do. I like the gameplay. I like being able to move my wizard around and take certain actions. I like the concept of taming and capturing dragons and finding treasure. I think the components are very good. The artwork on the components is nice. The tiles themselves are thick. The cards are really good. They're sturdy. They're have a nice finish to them. They're easy to read. I think all the rest of the components are very nice. The wooden bits for the dragons and the wizards, the cutouts for everything else are really good. My only complaint about the game is the size of the bag. The bag itself looks nice, nice black felt and Dragon Island emblazoned on there, but it's just too big. These or the tiles are too big for this bag. You can see this is what it looks like in comparison, and you just can't shuffle any of the tiles that are in the bag. Either make the bag bigger or make the tiles smaller would have been a better way to go. But that is really my only complaint. I would actually recommend this game. This is more of a gateway game for people getting into the hobby. It's not difficult to teach. It actually plays fairly quickly. There shouldn't be AP prone really on this. The one thing that I have found is that building your dragon pins is kind of the way to go, and collecting all these dragons into your pin, and then using your resources basically to capture all of them at once is very economical that way. I don't think that that's the only way to win, but that is a very good strategy. I do like the concept of different things. Like I said, you can go a route of trying to find a lot of treasure. You can go the route of trying to capture a lot of dragons, collecting fame for the various things, building buildings, that sort of thing. I think the variability of the game of having so many different tiles that can come out, and like Dan had said, you're going to get a different configuration on your island every time, so no two games are going to be alike. So there are tons of replayability with that. The fact that the tiles are double-sided gives you plenty of options when you are trying to place tiles, because you're trying to set something up so you can get your treasure or get the resources that you need. So I really like that aspect. And I like most tile laying games for that reason as well. But that is Dragon Island. I recommend it, and we will catch you guys next time. If you would like to support us, you can visit patreon.com/dadvdaughter.
Like and follow us on Facebook to stay current on our show schedule, sneak peeks at future shows, and to interact with us.